People are divided about what to do when they see an injured wild animal. Some say that you should contact the proper authorities and leave it be, while others believe that every second counts and springing into action is the only way. For most people, this isn't a decision that they will ever have to make. However, for those who live in more rural areas, it might be something they are forced to contend with, whether they like it or not. Ericus Plucus had to make that decision for himself one day when he came home from work and discovered something really unsettling waiting for him. Ericus had to make a decision fast, and he was running out of time. One day, after returning home from work, Ericus Plucus of Lithuania got the surprise of a lifetime. There, lying outside the gate to his property, was a baby moose, who was weak and afraid. The first sight of her was heartbreaking, remembered Ericus. She was starved, dirty, sad. Her fur was infested with flies, and she was so terrified of me when she first saw me, but was too weak to run away, to even get up. Ericus assumed that the poor baby's mother was killed by local hunters, leaving her to fend for herself. Before he did anything, he called animal control and his friends with knowledge on the subject to find out what he should do. He was met with the same answer from them all: stay out of it and let nature take its course. Animal Services was on their way, but Ericus knew in his gut that he couldn't stand by and let this animal die. He went outside and gathered every kind of leaf he could find in addition to some milk in a bottle. He knew that if he hadn't taken action, the unspeakable might happen to this young moose. When Animal Services did arrive, they gave Ericus news that made his heart sink. Since here in Lithuania, we do not have a special institution who would take care of wild orphan animals, they called local hunters and asked if they can take her. He said, "I knew it meant certain death for her. So I insisted that I should keep the baby." Ericus named her Emma, and just like that, they were bonded for life. Caring for any infant is hard, and an infant moose is no exception to the rule. Emma needed to be fed every 4 hours, and whenever Ericus went inside, she would cry for him. He actually took to sleeping outside with her in the barn, so she would know that she wasn't alone. As Emma began to grow, Ericus would take her for walks in the forest by his home. Emma was nervous, but she was willing to follow Ericus anywhere. In the forest, he tried to show her what was dangerous and what was safe in the hopes of one day being able to reintroduce her to the wild. Although the forest initially scared Emma, as she grew, she started to really relish their trips into the wilderness. Eventually, she would venture out on her own. That's when Ericus knew the time had come. Emma was finally ready to go home. When the time came for her to return to the forest, Ericus had no idea how hard it would be for him to let Emma go. Thankfully, he didn't entirely have to. After her return to the wild, she began visiting Ericus every single day to play together like they did when they first met. What makes Emma and Ericus's bond even more unique is that the young moose never bonded to another human the way she did with her human papa. In fact, when faced with other humans, Emma actually became really nervous. Even as Emma grew massively in size, she still took pains to be careful around her diminutive human daddy. "To me, she's gentle and loving," laughed Ericus. "She is very careful when we are playing, so she would not hurt me." While Ericus did worry that Emma might experience the same fate as her mother, a recent meeting he had with the town's hunters gave him hope. "I had some hunters over for them to see her as not just as a nice warm steak with potatoes and vegetables on the table, but as a very intelligent and loving animal." He shared some claimed they will put down hunting rifles for good, and some promised never to shoot a moose again. Ericus couldn't be happier at how things turned out for Emma. He had high hopes for her future and was thankful that he'd get to spend time with her even though she transitioned back to her natural habitat. He also thought he might start seeing even more of her very soon. That was because Ericus thought Emma might be pregnant. Isn't that an amazing story? Not many people would go out of their way like Arikas did to take care of a wild animal. He really went above and beyond for Emma, and you can tell they adore each other.